Welcome to the Four Visions Market podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Ganessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home. Welcome back, Four Visions family, to another episode of the Four Visions podcast. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome Snow Raven as our guest today. I'm so excited to get to dive into what I know is going to be an incredibly potent and nourishing conversation. Snow Raven Suor is a mystic hailing from one of the most remote and frigid regions on Earth, the Republic of Sakha, Yakutia. From the age of 3, she delved into the language of birds and animals, giving her voice a unique quality that draws from the wellspring of traditional Sakha culture. She is the originator of Arctic beatbox, a technique that uses the breath of reindeer, and the visionary behind the OLOX ecosystem, where many beliefs converge into a common truth. Notably, Snow Raven has graced international stages and festivals, including America's Got Talent 2020, Lightning in a Bottle, Lost Lands, The Elements, Lucidity Festival, and Burning Man. She has also taken her ethereal sounds to renowned events like the Sundance Film Festival and Bioneers Eco Conference. With an impressive resume and appearances at TEDx Vermont and Yale University, she continues to inspire and uplift audiences worldwide. Snow Raven's profound connection to her homeland shines through her music, offering you a unique opportunity to witness the beauty, wisdom, and power of her ancestors. Thank you so much for being here with us. It is a tremendous honor to welcome you to the show. And I am so thrilled for this opportunity to connect with you. On that note, I would love to start the conversation by asking you, what is your mission? Why did you come here to this earth? And what is the vision that is behind all of the work that you are doing?
Thank you, Mariah. Thank you for Visions for having me. And what a beautiful introduction. Like, wow, I haven't acknowledged yet how much have I done. That is very important that, every single person should actually honor and respect what they accomplished. And I quite don't do that because I usually see only the future, trying to be present and learning from mistakes of past. So it was beautiful to hear. Thank you so much. The mission, it's very powerful and scary word at the same time for me, because mission in shamanism, in Sakha shamanism, it requires some burden. And my mission was born, I would say, clearly in my vision when I moved to the United States. The entire 6 years, I was putting puzzles together and didn't know what is my mission. But I certainly knew that I'm on that mission, but I couldn't see it. And that is something very interesting, that also shamanic, if you will, that since you've been born, you're already in that mission. But when there's a time and the circumstances when it appears in your vision, almost like enters to your consciousness, it can come while you are journeying in this lifetime, right? So you're from the birth till now. This is the long journey, and I've been putting these puzzles, and every single time when I add a new puzzle, I feel that I'm rooting in my mission. Voice of my ancestor or something, or my inner voice once told me when I was young and looking at the western side of my village, looking at the sunset. So the voice was telling me I have to go to the west. I made my journey to here before I was, in Europe, and also traveling to Africa and different continents, different places. And the music was bringing me all the time, guiding me. So I came here to the United States, I think, to see clearly what is my mission. And finally, for now, I'm ready to say that my mission is to bring voice to the voiceless. Creativity, it's such a powerful healing tool for all sentient beings. It's our birthright. And if we make a decision out of creativity, bringing our voice by expressing, so that is really powerful path to all human beings, in my opinion. And so I want to unlock that skill of self-expression. And when you bring your voice, your self-expression through the movement, when you're connected to the mystical sounds of life, and then it becomes healing, almost your own way of healing. So therefore, I am here creating a lot of tools, bringing a lot of techniques and knowledge and wisdom of my Sakha people from Arctic Siberia.
Thank you so much. And what a beautiful articulation of this process of purpose and actualization of mission, because it's very true. It's something that is written in the stars before we come here, but that doesn't necessarily mean we know what it is as soon as we're in this physical body. So I think a lot of people can relate to that process of discovery and remembrance, really, of remembering what that contract was that we made before we took the journey from the stars to this physical plane. So thank you for that. And I'm so excited to get to hear more about your upbringing, because it really, every time I've heard you share about it on other podcasts and talks, it really is very mesmerizing to hear about it. I would love to ask you to share a little bit about your childhood and what your life was like in Arctic Siberia, and specifically from this lens of the tools that equipped you with this authenticity that you radiate, because you really radiate this effortless sense of authenticity, which is something that is hard to come by in our society because of all of the conditioning that keeps us separate and causes us to forget. And so this is something that really pulled me to you from the moment that I started learning about your work, because I really feel that direct connection. And so I would love to hear you share a little bit about what it was like growing up in your village, and perhaps a little bit more about the cultural identity of your people that fosters this certainty and confidence in self and life.
And every single time when I go into memories of my childhood, it's such a cherishing journey that is always in my heart. And perhaps when I am here feeling low, scared, or feeling anxious from the crazy rhythm of modern world, those memories of childhood just takes me into inner peace or a state of equanimity almost. The place where I was born, called Uskule. It's a small village with 300 people. Uskule means the lake of blacksmith. Us means the blacksmith. Kuel means lake. And we have a lot of lakes, very ancient lakes. And in fact, that Uskule is situated in in the bottom of ancient river. So it has hills on northern and southern part. And my village is right in the bottom of that ancient river that doesn't flow anymore, but it flows perhaps under the ground. So it has this beautiful long way of, that there's this whole flow. I can I could feel it with every single sunset. When the temperature goes down, the wind that would travel from east to west, all the sounds would echo from hill to hill and create this natural delay, natural reverb effect. There's a very special golden hours that every single time when I see sunset being here, that reminds me sunset back in my home. The sun also has very interesting light during the winter time, during winter solstice. A little bit northern of my home, sun doesn't come out. So it's always dark, all the time dark. Or during the summer solstice, sun is always there. Smell of my homeland, it's something that I miss so much. The freshness of the air, because the seasons are so short, summer, spring, and autumn. The winters, on the contrary, are so long. Everything in the springtime thrives and tries to live really, it comes to this world, comes back to their life so quickly. And all the, leaves and the fresh leaves, this baby nettles that coming from the large trees and pine trees, their terpenes are just flying in the air. And it is the most delicious air that I've ever, could inhale. The taste, the water um, that comes from the great lakes, the mighty lakes and rivers of Arctic Circle, the most pure and crystal clear and delicious water that our bodies are made from. It contains 80% it's water, so it's very important what we drink. And I miss that taste, the taste from frozen lakes, the ice cubes that we melt every single season. And the sound of our elders talking, the sound of fire that goes all day long, every single day. Without that, we don't survive. And then the sound of kids, all of my neighbors that I used to play with. And we didn't have an internet or any smartphone, creating games outside. Also, we were surrounded by forest and sound of forest all the time. So it's really a wonderful time of my life. And I had a very, very happy childhood growing up there, learning from my grandparents and from my mother, from the community, and participating in summer solstice ceremonies, coming here and also remembering where I come from and missing it. More I miss, more deeply it roots in me.
Wow. Went with you on that journey. And I
No.
love those beautiful descriptions. I feel like I traveled there with you there. So beautiful. And what a gift of a childhood and of an existence to get to be part of. I'm curious to hear from you your observations of the ways in which adults act with children in your village, as well as what you've observed as the differences coming here to the West, and any observations that you feel like really helped to nourish your spirit and nourish your connection with life.
Every single time when I bring one of the techniques for singing, bringing the vowels of Sakha language, takes me back to the memory of elders sitting in front of fire. And I'm going to describe here what is that. So there's a very specific sound among the older vowels in Sakha language, which is sound. And when we express that in our workshops, uh, Eh. At first, it comes just right? And then we feel it. Eh. So it's like an inner smile. It's in front of you versus it's open up, right? Or it's very distinguished, every single vowel. And then this when you drop in, like sit with that sound and feel how it travels in your body and what does it trigger in your body. So it basically takes me into memory of elders sitting in front of fire with closed eyes and doing this sound. And I would play around my grandfather. From time to time, I would hear that sound. Didn't know through my mind what did it mean, but my heart knew that this is a safe place to be. It reminded me sort of inner agreement that, the life is impermanent, or, there's something connected to equanimity, like saying with closed eyes, and it still remains mysterious to me. I never asked from my grandfather what does it mean particularly, or what he was thinking or experiencing when he would do that. But there's this very beautiful connection, even without direct connection or asking questions. You are already connected to your elders just by presence of them, just by fire that brings all the generations together. And because it's cold outside, and fire would bring everybody around. And my grandfather would come after taking care of cows and put his legs against the fire and just sit like this and do this sound. And I would just play around and hear and think, whoa, what is that? So there is this beautiful communication, unofficial or even unseen communication, almost like telepathically happening between people. Here in Western culture, what I've noticed is certain events, circumstances like lockdown that disconnected a lot of people, or smartphones that we use every day because of distraction that we have in outside world. There are a lot of things happening, and we don't have that much time and space to drop with ourselves and just be in our inner silence. When we lose our inner silence, the communication becomes trivial, I would say, more shallow, and it loses roots and depth. I'm, very, very interested about telepathic connection. And that was happening a lot in my childhood, which I was not aware of because I thought that it's a normal, it's a how it should be. And only after losing it, coming here, I understood. I understood a lot of things after moving to the city, and then what city does, because city is boxed. It has all kind of other frequencies and waves, and today we have a lot of different realms opening to us, which is also very, very hard on our bodies. And one of the great ways to reconnect to our telepathic connections between a human being with human being, or human being with nature, or human being with cosmos, it's a sound. So that's area of my interest today.
It's so beautiful. And yes, the sound is that primordial essence that connects us to the origin of creation. And I can feel in your music that you are able to tap into that. And it's really inspiring for all of us to get to connect with that place. And music offers us this incredible portal into the place of stillness, that inner quiet of the spirit that you just were mentioning, as well as the connection with all of creation. What is the sound of creation to you?
The sound of creation of humanity, our elders say it's a first crying. When we come out through our mother's womb into this middle world, and I would like to also share in future in this conversation about three worlds: lower, middle, and higher. So the middle world is physical world, and it has the energies of both lower and higher, which are pain and pleasure, destructive energy and creative energy. So those energies both dance, interact, or even create a song together in the middle world. So once we come out to this middle world, with first inhale and exhale, with all the pain coming through, I imagine our skull is squished and is very painful both for mother and child. And with the first inhale, our alveoles are getting oxygen from the air, not from the water that we used to do during 9 months, but from the air that opens up our alveoles and they're popping up. And it is really painful for human being to come and being created to appear in this middle world. And with first exhale, we cry. And that crying is the song. It's considered as a song in my culture. First song ever that we do, it's our crying with birth. So the sound of creation of human being for me, it associates with first crying. And then if I go to the earth realm, to the planet earth realm, the sound of creation there is the first ever sentient being that was inhabiting this earth. For me, that's like a symphony, like a melody. And then there is a heartbeat of like a rhythm part of that song, the drum or percussion that comes from magma, like almost heartbeat of the earth. It feels like we are all singing this song of the earth. And then if I go to the realm of the universe, for me, the sound of creation is the first ever sound that came out from silence. So it's like emptiness. It's actually reminds me other confessions and religions when they talk about the first was a word. Whatever mystically appeared came out from the emptiness. That's the sound of creation. And again, I see everything, all the sounds as a part of great symphony or a song, if you will. And each realm has own song. Each realm has own melody and drum, rhythm. The lyrics, those are the stories that are woven with the consciousness. And I think that's why the consciousness is something when you would like to share your consciousness, your experience with the consciousness, then it becomes lyrics, like a full song that you would like to share with word.
Beautiful. I love that. So, this consciousness, this collective human consciousness, how do we go about refining or returning back to our essence as part of creation, part of nature? Specifically, I would like to ask you about the power of thought and how your culture views the thinking mind, as well as how your culture heals the mind or cultivates beautiful thoughts.
In the previous answer, I mentioned about 3 worlds, lower, middle, and higher. That's the main concept of Sakha shamanism. In fact, most of shamanic cultures have that too. The lower world is a representation of fear, destructive energy, versus survival, primal energy. There are different interpretations of that world in different cultures, and even perhaps each of us individually. The middle world, as I described before, it's the realm which contains lower and higher worlds energies, and it's a realm of love, and we call it taptal in Sakha language. So if fear in Sakha language is kutal, taptal is love, and then the higher world, it's a realm of gratitude, mahtal. So it's kutal, taptal, mahtal, 3 realms. And I paid attention in that subtle word, which is in the middle world, and thought, wow, this really makes sense. We have to build our middle world, our physical, tangible world out of love, out of subtle. There's no other ways. Otherwise, we will just destroy our home, our world, and every single thing in this world, in this physical reality. So it's someone's invention. Someone came up with idea and created things, right? And this can be anything. Just look around, and then you will find those are a lot of ideas, the great ideas that perhaps most of them were created out of love because someone wanted to make our world how to say, the pain and suffering that comes from being out of comfort zone, which is the survival energy, and comforting it with some technologies, innovations. So that comes out of love, talent, that what we are lacking today. We are creating a lot of too much comforting technologies that actually spoils the human consciousness. It's traps our um, consciousness in the very limited space. Because when you are in a survival mode, when there's still space for us to explore more the capacity and skills of human's body, then it becomes really powerful. I think that's where we at today with the human consciousness. There's um some so the loop, I would say, that we've been for a long time, it's already repeating itself. It repeated itself so many times that we need to jump out and start new loop, like a spiral loop. And then I usually see that like that. It's everything is spiraling, and human consciousness needs to expand. In Sakha shamanism, coming back to these three worlds, shaman is the person who can use the skills of expanding consciousness, and also use the consciousness for traveling, journeying through many, many realms, and perhaps, who knows, infinite realms, um, and be a servant of community. Because when the shaman comes back from the journey, they bring usually very useful information or insight or download for the community that they would survive upon. The reason I'm bringing this, because consciousness, such a powerful tool that allows us not being lost in the realms and coming back to our home, to the body. This lower, middle, and higher worlds, they exist inside of body and also outside of body. And it exists also in a smaller scales and in bigger scales. And then when you navigate yourself, your consciousness through those realms, if you distinguish, okay, this is destructive energy, this is creative energy, here I learn how to dance with them. So that's where the consciousness, I think, helps a lot, and consciousness along with mind. And again, this is something different in a Western culture. When we say "œil" in Sakha, "œil," it's mind. It's something that it's almost like an operative system. So your brain, capacity of your brain to have a downloads from different realms, and being able to navigate those thoughts and bring it to this reality. That's where the mind is really powerful tool. And consciousness, let me think about the Sakha word for that. Think, it's very close to sana, which is, it's just the consciousness is almost like the world becoming real. So whatever realm that you going to visit, it becomes your reality. And then when you, in a Western culture, when you say conscious, or you are conscious, or consciousness, it's quite often tied with only this reality, like this tangible reality, and I'm conscious here. But in shamanism, there are many, many realities and you could be conscious on those realities by navigating yourself through your mind. That's how I would describe it. People almost lose their consciousness and getting lost in these realms during the rite of passage, which is really, really dangerous path for someone who is becoming a shaman and learning for months, years, or even decades how to negotiate with spirits, with the realms that are unseen to human eyes. That's whole another topic, and I love talking about shamanism. I can do for hours.
This episode of the Four Visions podcast is brought to you by Connect Chocolate, our favorite source for magical mushrooms. The fungi kingdom have played a fundamental role in my journey back to nature, back to the remembrance of our inherent connection with all creation. The mycelium network hold the keys to so many insights, understandings, and potent messages of self-discovery. Mushrooms are ancient and have been supporting humans and the earth for thousands of years. There are few natural remedies that compare to their magnificence and wonder. I'm so grateful that Connect Chocolate exists and that I can share with our Four Visions family a source for the highest quality mushroom microdoses and ceremonial dosage for journeying with fungi. Use our code FVFamily for 10% off your order. My personal favorites are the 30-day protocol and golden ticket. Click the link in our show notes and stock up today. May the fungi continue weaving their wisdom network upon this earth for many generations to come. And now, on to today's episode. I wanted to ask you, this connection that you have with animals, is this something that all people in your village have, and is that specific to the shamanic path? And I would love to hear you speak more about the shamanic path of study and initiation.
Yeah, so in my culture, Sakha shamanism, o Yunnahan, the future shaman, it all starts when they're kids, like little children, 3-4 years old. They play around with that energy. They're not aware of, this is something special, you're gifted. It's just the way they see the world and express themselves. And perhaps in that case, the parents should be very attentive. And if they see a talent or skill of child, they can actually identify it at the early age and ask the elder shaman come and help the kids to prepare for the really, really devastating and painful part of the rite of passage that usually happens at age of, from 7 to 14 when you're a teenager. Around that age, I like to being, kind of imagining that I am cat or dog. I would do a lot of the cat sound. And I would just observe. I grew up with cat, Kika, at first when I was sleeping with that cat every day since I was born for 10 years. And I learned the behavior and the sounds that my cat was doing. And I knew that if this one is, this is the male cat calling. If it's more playful. So I kind of loved turning into those animals that I grew up with. Ravens are everywhere and they can survive in minus 96 and they don't migrate. I knew that there's some connection with that mysterious bird. And then we actually call cool. It's not even bird. It's translation in English. It's animal. So it's a totem animal. So Raven later became my totem animal because I was constantly surrounded by them, sharing the best part of meat with ravens and trying to talk to them and mimicking. And so this all came out from curiosity. When I was a little kid, I used to hear all of the sounds and trying to communicate and talk. And I thought it's normal. But later I discovered that only shamans have this, they almost call their totem animals. It happens right before they fall into trance. So actually mimicking birds and animal sounds, it helps them to alter their state. And once they call their totem animals, they might experience having an extra skill, like extraordinary skill, that awakens in their body while they are traveling between the realms. For example, if you call an owl, oh, 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 like superpower of owl is night vision, flying quietly, or turning your head 360 degrees. The shaman would have those interesting skills while they're journeying. And in journeying, again, it might be retrieving the stolen soul, which is, someone is sick. So this mimicking birds and animal sounds, it's a very, very important element or stage even in order to get altered. It's a part of trance. And in my homeland, there are more and more people coming out with birds and animal sounds, specifically young people, which is very interesting these days, in a modern life. Sometimes you can hear it. Some of the artists who play mouth harp, they can incorporate those sounds while they're using mouth harp. Again, it has a roots of falling into trance. All the mouth harp and drumming and dancing and chanting and mimicking birds and animal sounds.
Wow, it's so beautiful and fascinating. So, can I ask you, did you end up taking the route of shamanism, or was that not part of your path? It sounds like, from an early age you were exhibiting that altered sense of consciousness and higher states of consciousness.
Yeah, so I was born after the Soviet Union collapsed. And during Soviet Union and even before in 17th century, when Russians discovered us, there was some baptizing of my people, more turning them into Christians. From 1930s, there was anti-shamanism, anti-shaman campaign executed by Soviet Union, where they were putting shamans into jail, burning their drums and regalias. But how it survived? Simply by secretly seeing and healing people. So the shamans were secretly doing it. When I was 2.5 years old, I was stuttering. So I would say like, ma, 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 mama. And it was pretty obvious. My mother asked, it happened when my mother was away. And then when she came back, she asked from my grandparents what happened. And it turned out to be the mouse jumped in my bed and I screamed at them in the middle of the night. Since that time, I was very stubborn. And then she went to hospital. She showed me to a couple of good doctors. They tried to put me into, they tried to heal me. But then one of those days, she took me to the concert and there was a one woman. She said, well, actually, this woman is a shaman. She can heal a lot of people. Maybe you can show your daughter to her. And turned out to be, she's a mother of very, very famous singer, Badia Manatova. My mother even didn't know that she was secretly seeing and healing people. But then, she was kind of, she didn't have a pure belief, 100% belief that this is going to work. She just showed me, and that shaman woman touched my, like here. And then she said, oh, here, I can feel it. I found it. This is her, the reason why she's stuttering. And then she was doing 3 sessions of massaging right here. And look, I'm talking, I'm singing. I mean, I am not starting. I don't have any more. And then just how my life would have been if it went different path. So I'm very thankful to that shaman woman. And I think more you're involved, more you experience some pain and disease at early age, the level of pain actually shows you the level of power of shaman. So I have some chronic diseases that are very strange, and that there's no explanation. It shows that I'm healthy, but I'm going through a lot of interesting um, pain and suffering in my body that I take it as part of rite of passage. And
Mhm.
that's the realm of, I can go with, I can heal. I'm in my way of healing myself from those pains that in the future I can share how to heal others, so I can heal what I did. In our culture, we don't call, usually people don't call themselves as a shaman. I am shaman. There's no, I would say it's a traditionally just a respectful way to your skill, to your mission. And it's a burden. It's really, really a hard path to become a shaman. And it requires the guidance of elder shaman. It has a lot of many, many stages. It all quite often also um, connected to mental health. And then that is the realm of my interest being here in the United States. I'm very interested bringing, seeing at the mental health situation here through the prism of shamanism.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing about your personal journey. And there's many parallels to the shaman path in your culture with other shamanic paths. And I think you mentioned that at the beginning. But even in the Inca culture of Colombia, the word taita, which means father or healer or guide, this term is bestowed upon someone, and you are only become a taita until the community recognizes you. I think that I would love to go a little bit deeper into this concept of mental health, since you mentioned it. I would love to open that space for you to share with us your perspectives. I do really agree with you with just the need for this discussion to center and really amplify ancestral wisdom cultures as we really discuss what a way forward looks like in integration of these practices into modern society. And so I'm really just super honored to get to hear your perspective and anything that you feel called to share.
Mental health, that's something, we call in English and it's defined in a certain way, but it's in fact, it's something that every single person, it's a perception of the reality of life. And who knows? And every single person's perception is so unique. The human consciousness is very mysterious to me. Mental, when I hear that combination of English words, mental health, it's not only related to mind. For me, it just goes deeper with intuition. The way you combine your intuition and mind, and how to um, make it healthy. So there are certain ways for each person. Like each person has its own ways to maintain that balance. And have you ever noticed that when you're angry, your perception changes a lot? When you're sad or when you're happy, joyful, it's also different perception. Even the colors can change. Each generation expand it in their own way. So I think what we are witnessing today, the reason all the, this psychedelic assisted therapies, and plant medicine, the ceremonies that indigenous people were holding for thousands and thousands years are becoming very trendy because humanity needs to extend consciousness. And it is really, really, as I described before, I can see it as a loop. So we are kind of being in that loop for a long time. It's like a Groundhog Day, like in a movie, doing the same thing all over and over again. And then our consciousness, it tends to expand. It's like a big band. It's all that, everything is just moving. Everything is expanding and spreading. There's definitely some paradigm shift should happen. And then in order that to happen, I was just imagining, wow, how it would have been interesting that everybody sits in the collective ritual and, or do a collective meditation, and then all at once, all in sync, just jump into another, paradigm shift, and all are very skillful. And then that leads me into thought like, wow, how we can deal with 8 billion people? Well, we kind of lost our sense of telepathic connection because we built cities. What we have today is smartphones, like internet. Internet's actually exist in shamanism. If you look at it from the shamanic way, internet is like web. It has a data that is limited because it was created by human mind. But there's web of life that is created by the universe, and it's unlimited. There's unlimited data in it. Our bodies, it's like a smartphone. One of the elder shaman, Konstantin Chirkov, Sakha shaman, he told that, oh, our bodies is actually like radios. You can, at that time, there were no, smartphones or cell phones. He was comparing it to the radios. So the radios, and then you can tune with certain channels in it and catch the wave. And then whatever comes through that wave, it just comes out from your mouth. I have just such a big dream how we can make it accessible, how we can make the tools that navigate people to journey through many realms and remain healthy, maintain this balance of health. In other words, safe travels. How we can bring those tools. How, first of all, indigenous tribes who survive till today, they've been masters of those, basically there was a natural system of mental health. And my people, Sakha people, are just a great example of that. Imagine having like living in cold and dark winters, surviving. Half of the children would die. That's why women give more than 10 children, and half of them will naturally, die because only strong ones survive, and they actually pass their 100 ages, the 100 years. My people, Sakha people, are such a strong example for me. And I would like to bring that to the Western culture. There's something called Arctic hysteria. And living in that dark, cold environment, you're naturally exposed to be mentally sick, which meaning, we don't label people like here, you're diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar or epilepsy. We see that as energy going through the body, and then that's a reaction of body. And the shaman, again, coming back to shamanism, a shaman, a person who learns how to deal with that energy. If you want to reduce the symptoms, let's say epilepsy, you need to learn how to navigate on this realms. You learn how to deal with the symptoms and come back safely with information that community needs to survive. And that is very important for shaman to remain mentally healthy. And at the beginning, they look like mentally sick, but it's that actually they're going through the rite of passage. So my people don't label, and in fact, the a family can define it, the future shaman among the member of the family, and they can ask the elder shaman come and help the future shaman to go through that rite of passage. So if we reframe and perhaps sit more with what is the mental health? Well, what do we have today that causes this balance? What are those waves? Why do we switch a lot? Why people get lost in the realms in a Western society? So we need to kind of sit and rethink, reimagine, perhaps just putting more puzzles together. And here, the wisdom of indigenous people is very important because those people are they naturally know the mental health because they've been going through that process, and they are going through that process. And the system sometimes, it just puts it in another way than the path they were doing and healing people traditionally. And that's what I am, bringing through creativity, through sound, through music, through artistic expression, we can not only integrate those tools in the mental health practices, but also, like bringing those artistic tools as a foundation, perhaps. For that, I would love to do a deeper research and like a literal research how chanting specific techniques that I'm bringing from my people affect and mental health. How does it affect that something that comes from outside to person, or even you know better when person expresses her or himself using these techniques and come out with own expression, bringing own voice, how it will impact mental health. It's incredible. So I would like to know, I would like to dedicate my time and energy for that. That's why that's part of my mission that way I mentioned before.
Wow. So beautiful. And I really just am attuning to that vision with you. And it's quite radical, but I do believe it can be fundamental in this pathway that we're forging. And I really pray that you move forward on that research and the sharing of your gifts with the world. And I just want to send you a lot of prayers for protection and continued unfoldment of this service that you are dedicating your life to, because we need you and people like you in this world who are cultivating this clear vision of a way forward or a way backwards, back to our true essence, back to our connection with life and nature and our authentic self expression. So, thank you. It's just been such an honor. I could listen to you talk for hours. It's so beautiful to get to connect with you in this way and just receive your potent channel of wisdom and your plethora of knowledge that you have to share. And I'm really so grateful that you are here in the West. Truly, when I first came across you, I felt this instant connection to your spirit and your dedication, and really just commend you on the path that you're walking and how much light you're bringing into the world, and this beautiful connection that you have that is inspiring so many to reawaken their own connection. And I look forward to witnessing you as you continue walking and bringing to life so much beauty in these projects and this beautiful mission that you are on. So thank you so much for your time, and it's truly an honor to be able to connect and drop in with you in this way. And before we close, I would love to just offer you the space to share a final message to our listeners, or a prayer, anything that you feel would be conclusive of the time that we have spent together today.
Before I do a closing of our beautiful, deep conversation, I would like to acknowledge and send my gratitude to you, Mariah, personally, and the Four Visions. How wonderful was this journey? And thank you for being a great companion in this journey. It truly was like leaving one thought from another. It was just catching the tail of that and opening another, cycle there, and then completing that cycle, and then going to another, like catching that tail and creating another. So it was truly like a weaving, like a web together. So thank you so much for that, and for spreading a wisdom and knowledge. With that said, I would like to just simply offer here a sound with my brand new mouth harps that just came from my homeland. And I hope that it will open up certain message that their intuition will bring for them. I just would like to serve here and open up space for that in order to close our conversation. ومنمستود برمران خيتر برلرن algestadam arangachladam harestadam bolton urdiki ara yilerten ortadaydı vichlerten kardestan bolt dom dominitom machtal. Machtal means thank you in Sakha language.
Machtal.
And then when you ask, what is the sound of creation? When I play mouth harp, which brings voice for the voiceless. Because you basically don't use the voice. You can sound without voice, which I did in the end, the birds and animal sounds, and I can sometimes sing through that. But the main thing here is sounding your breath. It's sound of creation. It's a breath that for me comes through this magical small instrument, one string instrument that reminds me the sound of bow of hunters. And that instrument, humus, mouth harp, exists around the world. And with that said, I would like to, close this conversation by saying, don't be afraid to sound weird. The sound that surrounds us. It's truly a creation. And if we become creators of the sound, it might lead us to the path of healing.
On behalf of the Four Visions family, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have gained seeds of wisdom that will nourish your spiritual path. If you have a moment, please leave us a review, as this helps us to reach more people. For more resources and information about the plant path, and for the highest quality spiritual tools and botanicals, please visit us at fourvisions.com. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Until next time.